Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining us here at the Golden State Gaming Network. I am here with Jose Torres, aka El Atomico, and he's going to go ahead and tell us about his Kickstarter 28mm zombie and survivor miniatures. So take it away, Jose.
Yes, I've been sculpting and doing artwork on and off, and finally decided to get really into 28 millimeter sculpting of like wargaming miniatures. And the line I'm doing right now is a zombie apocalyptic miniatures. I'm starting off with six zombies and a couple survivors. Depending on the pledges, if there is good support on this, I can fund the casting of more figures and continue sculpting even more uh, projects and miniatures I have in the works.
Okay, that's cool. So I'm looking at your Kickstarter, and this is one of those things I do during the interviews is I go back and forth to see if there's anything I missed. Um, your pledge goal was $100, which is by most Kickstarter standards insanely low as a starting point. Is there a particular reason you chose to go with such a low number? Or is there a specific just is it what are you did you need funded for $100 that you needed
Well,
crowdfunding for?
for $100 was basically to get the mold material and just get the prototypes and at least be able to get it off the bare basic, off the ground. Of course, I'm gonna take a loss at $100, but already doing two previous Kickstarters and they they didn't really get funded. I don't know if it's because of exposure or lack of network. But I'm I'm definitely serious about taking off and making a line and everything. Not because of the profits because they're obviously not there, but more because this is something I love to do, and I would love to eventually earn a living just sculpting. If that's the thing I could do for the rest of my life would be better. And $100 was just enough to get it and at least get one win.
So okay, so you're obviously going to take a hit on this, which is kind of counterintuitive to how most Kickstarters think. Um, your experience with miniatures, how do you play any minis games, any war games like that, any skirmish games?
Yes, I used to play Warhammer, and I had my my armies and everything, and I played some other games, even role-playing games where you bring in your little figurines. And I always enjoyed sculpting and painting the figurines because it's the love of the hobby. You really get into it when you invest a lot of time in sculpting and painting your figure. So yeah, I've been playing for a while.
That's cool. And you said you used to play that other game, which means you've stopped playing it, right?
Yeah, once they started changing their tactics, where it seemed to me like a lot of the big companies didn't care about they started looking at people more of like the
Just at the profit.
yeah, just a profit, and they started changing the rules, and oh, okay, now you gotta buy like $300 worth of miniatures just so you can play with your friends, and we're updating all this. I don't like those tactics. And
The only reason I asked was because every time I talk to someone that played that game, they always say the same thing. Well, I have to keep playing it because I put money into it, so I have no choice, but I have to keep playing it, and I don't like it, but I have to keep buying it. So you're actually the first person that told me they've quit in a long time.
yeah.
So I just wanted to touch on that just because it was hilarious that you're the first one that I've interviewed that said, you know what, I don't play that game anymore because of this reason.
Yeah.
So, did you work with an artist on this? Because some of these sculpts are really, really interesting and kind of have a lot of character, even though they're 28mm, which is a little bit smaller than what I personally like painting and working with. But they photograph really well, and there's a lot of detail that's popping, even though they're unpainted. or was this just all you kind of freestyling it and sculpting as you went?
Yeah, it's pretty much me. You know, I get an idea and I start sculpting the figure, and I could sit there all day and probably, you know, if I'm you know, no, there's no interruptions, then I could probably finish one figure. It's a lot of work, but yeah, I I I could do the artwork and everything, but since I'm a one-man team and I kind of like tackling this whole, you know,
Yeah,
this.
you're taking this whole thing on by yourself. That's pretty ambitious, and commendable, actually.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a lot of work, and if you love it, if you love what you're doing, you know, you try your best. You know, I know sometimes like I can really when I'm doing the campaign, I'm concentrating. Do I continue to, you know, fluff it up with artwork, or do I do the sculpting? And right now I'm concentrating on the sculpting because that's what I'm selling is the, well, not selling. That's what I'm trying to get off the ground is the miniatures. Um,
And I'm looking at some of your artwork, and it's kind of interesting now. The your it almost has kind of an old school your $2,400 stretch goal with the girls fight back. Now those are kind of almost reminiscent of a little bit of a lowrider look to them.
yeah,
A little bit more Chicana than what we usually see in models.
yeah. Um, that's what I'm trying. I was trying to get a feel and a theme to all of this because in my style, I like the old school stuff, like the '80s. You know, when we grew up with Conan stuff and Frazetta, and you know, everything was a little raw, and people weren't afraid to be, you know, guys weren't afraid to be guys, and you know, it was cool, you know, and that's that's kind of what I'm going for.
That's kind of cool. So, your line is going to have six zombies or six models, including zombies and survivors. Is that what? If I'm looking at that correctly?
Well, yeah, right now I started with I was gonna, you know, I started with six models, and they're ready to go and be shipped. I also made a the survivor. I'm adding them just as a bonus, you know, because I really appreciate people backing the project up. So I'm giving out that bonus model just
Yeah.
heartfelt, you know. Thank you.
That's really cool. And one of the things that I've been talking to people for the last 2 weeks, I don't know, you're probably going to see it on my channel when I give you the link, but I've been talking to several people about their Kickstarters, and one of the things that they've all agreed on is the timing. And you know your stuff is pretty much ready to go and get shipped out once you get the final stuff cast and made. Um, One of the things that they've all agreed on though is they want to keep those deadlines that they set up, and they want to make sure that their reputation is intact when they're done with it, because there's a lot of Kickstarters, you know, where you paid for stuff and you're waiting for things a year or two later to show up. But your deadlines that you set for yourself are pretty. I mean, they're very ambitious. I'm looking at this. You're expecting to have everything shipped out by May of this year, which is a little over 2 months away. Um, and you're doing all this stuff in house. How do you plan on meeting that goal that you set for yourself? Because that's an incredible goal, and you've gone over your Kickstarter goal already by 100%. So I mean, if this keeps going and you've got several more days to go, how are you going to meet that goal?
The good thing is that I never promise anything I can't do. So like all these goals, you know, for some foreseen reason, they hit all the way to all the stretch goals. I can deliver that within that time. That's actually a pretty good time frame. I always try to over deliver and always keep everybody, you know, happy with what you know, with what they get from me, because that reflects on me a lot. Um, so you know, all this stuff. I put May because May seems like a safe time. You know, it gives me a cushion. But I believe I'll be able to send these figurines even before that.
Okay. Um, that's cool. That's again, that's super ambitious. A lot of people like to give themselves 4 or 5 months, but it seems like you've kind of thought this through. How long does it take you to cast each mini? Do you do them all one at a time, or do you do them in batches, or how many can you do, say, in the course of a day? Because you cast these all at home, right? You do this all yourself.
Yeah, I had to put an expense on buying equipment, and that took a toll. So I'm pretty much I got all the stuff, and I could do it, and I can cast for right now what I got as backers, I could do that in a day. Uh,
Oh, wow.
so it's all set up. Uh, I'm I'm very serious when I say I want to really become one of the movers and shakers in the miniature world, but I want to do it because I love the hobby.
Yeah, no doubt. That's really cool. So your stretch goals down here that I'm looking at for the extra zombies and the bunker and that kind of thing, are these going to be add-ons or are they going to be just unlockables as you reach them? They're going to go just automatically. Everybody gets one.
Uh, they're unlockables, and then I'll open up more pledges with that. Um, but every time one of those gets unlocked, I'll add another freebie to everybody that's pledging. Because you know that benefits everybody because I'll be able to produce all this stuff. But
Oh, so everybody will get those pretty much as an unlockable then,
yeah, well,
or is that going to be add-ons?
they're add-ons.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
That's
they're
cool. Cool.
they're
I wasn't I wasn't sure because because it just says that they're unlockable, but I wasn't sure if the stretch goal if they were going to be add-ons or not. But
yeah.
that's still cool.
Yeah, it's because let's say we unlock some of the figurines. Yeah, I'll drop a freebie figurine off of the new one to somebody that's pledged on the previous pledges, even though if they don't upgrade to another pledge.
Now, one of the other things that I was noticing is your price for minis is incredible. $15 for 3 models or $30 for six. Is even from the bigger companies that's relatively unheard of. Unless you get some kind of deal where you're buying a starter set or something. Is you're just all about getting your art out there, huh? Just getting your name seen and kind of letting people know who you are.
Yes, that's the main objective. I want to get my name out there, get the figures, so people can use them on the games, and the
Yeah.
more. That's why I'm actually taking a hit right now, but it's all right.
Yeah, I know that's totally understandable, and we got to do stuff. I mean, I'm doing this to not to make an income, but to kind of get the word out there. And I'm mostly doing interviews with local guys in California, that kind of thing. And this is I always love to see this kind of thing where people that are unknown and trying to establish themselves are willing to take those risks and willing to take a hit for a little while until they can get established as and known in the industry and especially in California we have so much of the industry here.
Yeah, yeah. It's a gamble when you're following a dream. This is really a dream for me that I want to make happen. I've always I don't know if I said it before, but I've worked in the construction field a long time. Trying to put food on the table like everybody else. And it came to a point where, after getting almost getting uh, hit by vehicles constantly, it came to a point where I made soul search and said, I'm gonna follow this. I gotta really try. and make it happen. A lot of people actually kind of like looked at me with a bewildered look, like, why are you doing that? Doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, and you've got some you've definitely. I mean, I'm looking at these models. You definitely have talent for sculpting, and you know, and especially working on such a small scale as this. It's definitely cool to see that much detail in some of the minis. I'd actually love to see some of these painted up. Do you have any that you can that you have painted up, or that you have gotten at least some artwork with some illustration going behind it?
Um, I I'm in the process of painting some. Like my painting, it's good, but it's not gonna be as great as some guys that really just dedicate themselves to painting. They're phenomenal.
I know painters.
You get them out to them.
I know painters. No, my club, my gaming club, and you've probably seen me posting on the Facebook page, the SoCal Tabletop Gaming Network. Um, I post there regularly, but me and the guys, we got together. We actually, a lot of us actually got together through Malifaux. We used to play that game, and a lot of us were henchmen, and that's a miniatures game. Well, a lot of us got into that because the minis were so compelling, and the artwork and everything behind that game was amazing. And we all got behind that game. And then when they changed the rules, we all went kind of separate ways from that. We started the SoCal Tabletop Gaming Network and went with that. And we still get together and play miniatures games. We play board games. We're really into board games that you can play miniatures with, like Zombicide or those kinds of games where they come with components. Last Night on Earth, where you can paint this stuff and do extra stuff. So we a lot of us have experience with miniatures and stuff, and we play the smaller scale 28 millimeter skirmish games, like In Her Majesty's Name and Ronin and those kinds of games. So this is up a lot of those guys' alley.
Yeah, that's why I like skirmish games. Like Malifaux. I played one game, but I didn't really get into it because I didn't really have a lot of time to be like playing at the moment the games, which I really enjoy playing the games, but sometimes I have to work graveyard and do all that kind of stuff, So, but yeah, that's what I was shooting for, to make compact games where you only have to get like maybe one or two figures, and you can figure them into little squads, and you can have a lot of fun with just like $30, and that's all you need. If that's all you ever want to play with, then that's cool. If you want to add more, even better.
Yeah. Have you looked at a game like In Her Majesty's Name, that kind of thing?
No, I haven't seen that one.
That one I recommend. It's the rule book is $14, and you can play. It actually encourages you to create your own characters, so you're not stuck playing the pre-made crews that the company makes. North Star Miniatures makes models for it and minis that are prefab for the book, but they actually encourage you to create your own custom crews with your own miniatures and stuff. So you're not locked into the thematics of it with their fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a guy like you who's got that creativity would really enjoy that game, or that sort of game. I mean, it's a $14 rule book, and then the miniatures are basically wherever you can find them. It's played on a 3x3, so it uses a lot of sim terrain that Malifaux and the smaller games use.
Yeah, I really enjoy those smaller games because you look at the little figurine and he has a story behind him. He's a character you invested time and energy in, and
Yeah.
you pit him against other people's unique characters.
So let's jump ahead. 11 days, your Kickstarter's over. Let's assume you've reached your ultimate unlockable goal. The 2400 for the extra for the chicas.
Yeah.
Let's assume that you went there. What's next besides massive production for you to get this stuff sent out and boxed and mailed? What's going to be your next thing that you work on?
Right now, I got several other game miniatures I want to do. I haven't tied it into a game yet, but I'm gonna do a fantasy line. I'm kind of doing it. I'm gonna be launching every month, either on Kickstarter or the other one. and it's gonna be, if it doesn't pick up too much, then I'm gonna have to just do figurines at like 5 or 6 figures at a time every 2 or 3 weeks maybe. Um, if this one picks up, it gives me the capabilities of concentrating and doubling up the figures. So I've got a wrestling themed, kind of a pulpy lucha libre theme of characters too, and sci-fi.
Luchadores versus aliens, dude, right there. I won't copyright that. You can have that idea.
Yeah, you've seen those B movies, lucha movies.
I grew up with those, man. El Santo was my grandparents always had that on, and
Yeah, I love those movies. They're cheesy, but I love them.
yeah, it's pretty funny. But okay, so you're gonna keep doing projects. Have you got a website or anything that people can go to and maybe commission some work from? Because you do great sculpting. Is that something that's going to be on the horizon for you?
Um, Commissioning figures, I haven't really thought about that because uh, I kind of right now with a pretty uh, full plate. I'm doing a lot of stuff at once. Like you said, it's pretty ambitious. Once everything kind of all the dust settles, I may be able to do that. I have I have somebody already that I'm gonna do commission work. No, not commission, but I'm gonna help them out with their project. But it's kind of hard when I'm trying to do my own thing too at the same time.
Yeah, because you gotta. It's almost like you gotta put your dream aside for somebody else's vision and stuff.
Yeah, but I do have a website. The website Atomical Press. It's it's atomicalpress.net or atomicalpress.com.
Okay, guys, we're gonna link that at the bottom. I want you guys all to go and take a look at it. Don't be too excited though. I got like 28 viewers, and they all intermittently check in and out. So, but I have 800 views on my videos, so there's that.
No, it's
But some traffic is any traffic, right?
no. I really enjoy having a conversation because it's like I look at the Kickstarter like, oh man, is anybody looking at this? Because I it's just compared to Mantic or somebody else that comes up and they just like blow everybody out of the water. I'm like, damn, I don't.
Yeah, but you know what the problem that I've found with those established companies, and this is something that I've brought up repeatedly in these interviews, is established companies, the big ones that have the huge Kickstarters where they go over $1 million or they get $500,000, that kind of thing, where they just blow out their goal. They don't deliver on time. Those are the guys that let us down. The established companies are the ones that don't meet their goals or their set schedule, and they're the ones that wind up letting us down, or they're trying to meet the schedule that they set, and they wind up sacrificing production quality for what they're delivering. And if I don't know if you've heard about some of the models from a couple of the Kickstarters, like the Dreadball or some of those, where the first few batches came out great,
Yeah,
and then people were getting the second or the third and fourth batches and the sixth batches, and they were getting mold lines, they were getting warped figures, they were the quality was just not there that it should have been. And it's great that those guys hit, that they hit it, but established companies, I've noticed the trend the last year or two. They have the most hiccups when it comes to meeting their goals. They're just not realistic with what they set for themselves. As opposed to guys like you or some of the other companies that I've interviewed and talked to. They're realistic. They give themselves enough leeway. They have enough idea of what their resources are and where they're going to put their funds if they go over. And I don't know. Have you noticed that with any of the Kickstarters? If you backed any?
yes. I've kind of maybe it's because the way I go about it, I always back up the good idea that a guy in a similar situation as me, kind of like an underdog, but they have a good idea, and those are the ones I backed up because I don't I kind of stay away from bigger companies, but I I've got some of the smaller uh, people, companies or individuals that made their projects actually over delivered. They give me something like, wow, I'm glad. They give me a poster. I'm like, man, I'm gonna frame this. This is unique. I'm gonna keep it right here on the wall.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I like things that are more related to the game when they give me extra stuff, but I do like when I get some of the artwork in a large format. Like if the cards have really nice designs and then you see that blown up to a poster size, sometimes it's super amazing. You're just like, wow, that was worth it, you know?
Yeah, that's I enjoy seeing that, and I do get frustrated too when not for myself but for others that I've seen they do tremendous artwork and they're not asking for a lot to get their book out there. They just want to do it so they can somebody will enjoy it, have read the book and and I really want to see some of those projects just come about, and it just seems like they get overshadowed so easy by big.
By the huge ones. It's amazing some of the projects that don't succeed, where you look at them and you're like, wow, that was a really great idea. It should have done well. And then the projects that do succeed, they're kind of like, wow, why did that succeed as well as it did, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, like my previous Kickstarter, it was I don't know how to put it, as a spectacular but a fail. But it got if you put it on search engines, it'll come out. The pictures come out. The the exposure was there, and everybody loved it on Facebook, and it got shared everywhere. But I only got a couple people really committed, but it's all right. I got my name out there.
Yeah, I mean, it got you started, and kind of people can see what you can do. Um, have you thought about collaborating with anybody? I know a lot of the guys that I've talked to have they've gone in on an idea with two or three people, and one of the reasons that one of the guys had told me off camera was that he was aware enough of himself that he knew that his ideas weren't all good and his solutions weren't all the best, so he always liked the idea of having an extra brain around to kind of defer to and bounce ideas off each other, and maybe the other guy had an idea he didn't come up with to solve a problem and stuff. So have you thought about doing that?
Yeah, I tossed the idea around and I talked to some people already, but it's just like um, it's kind of hard to I'd feel more confident if I can hold my own first, then you know I'm actually a better contributor to a project than if I'm backpedaling myself.
Okay. So um, now one of the things that I know that you've probably been asked about before and want to touch on lightly, why zombies?
Well, I always like zombies and everything. And I know, I know there's a show out there that's like really, pulling people. But um,
Wait, there's a zombie show out there?
oh yeah, no, but I was into zombies since a long time ago. When they did on that other game that we were talking about previously, they made a back like 10 years ago. They let you customize your stuff, to have mutants and stuff like that. I made a whole like legion of zombies, and I customized them, and everybody loved them because it was like a George Romero flick. Um, but yeah, I started zombies because the, it seemed like people wanted them, and I actually got emails that, oh yeah, we'd like to see this and this and this, and but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there's a real need for them. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, the same thing kind of happened to me and my wife. When we got married, we had a pirate themed wedding. And a couple years after our wedding, If you look up pirate weddings, at one point ours was the number one that came up. It still comes up, but it's like the fifth or sixth. But when you looked it up, it was us. And then, when I tell people now, they're like, "Oh, you just jumped on the pirate thing." I was like, "No, that was actually like 2 or 3 years before the pirate thing took off, and our wedding was first before everybody else." Is like, "Well, why doesn't yours come up first anymore?" It's like, we kind of, people see it as like we're kind of jumped on this bandwagon and stuff. Because I still love pirate themed stuff, and I back a lot of Kickstarters that have a pirate theme to them or similar. So I get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause, I've always done the cheesy horror movie stuff, and I always loved the zombie stuff, and and then the TV show came out. I saw the some of the comic books before and before they were ever on TV. And I'm like, oh, this is a pretty good idea. It'd be good, if it made it on TV. And well, it did, and it's
And then it made it on TV.
yeah, smashing success.
So, okay, so what are your plans to further promote what you're doing? Are you going to attend any conventions and stuff? I know you guys have a couple up north. We have a ton that go on down here in SoCal. But are you going to start attending events, taking your minis and showing people what you can do, and maybe doing live sculpting while people are walking by and answering questions for them, or are you going to kind of just keep doing the Kickstarter and your website?
Well, I'm gonna keep working the Kickstarter and the website. I do want to attend the the conventions and the ones you guys have down there, the big one that everybody dresses up in costume. Yeah.
Which one? We have a couple of those. We have a couple of them that are Comic Con.
Comic Con, yeah. Oh man, I'd love to go to that one, but you gotta get that stuff way ahead of time because it gets packed.
Well,
Um,
it's usually easier for industry people, established industry people, to get in. So you're on your way to getting comped at least.
yeah.
But it's kind of cool that you mentioned that, because one of the things that my club does, when we do gaming demos and things, we're some of us are tied to different companies. Some of us aren't. Some of us just demo games that we like at gaming conventions or different things. But one of the things that we do that we really like is demoing games at non-gaming events like Comic Con and WonderCon and Anime Expo and those kinds of things, because I think the non-gamers are more open to the games that we're showing them, the miniatures or the card games, that kind of thing. They're more willing to be, "Oh, that's kind of cool. I've never invested, $400 to get one squad of some type of marine in the outer space region." So I think, if that's something you're thinking about doing and looking into doing, I think it's a pretty good idea. You know, to get a booth or something at some of these non-gamer events and kind of start expanding it, because they're the crowd that's going to be more open, at least that we found.
Yeah, that's the main thing when I'm like thinking about like making, because I do have like a file cabinet full of game ideas. There's like 20 years worth of stuff that I want to just start putting out there. And and the thing is that I don't have a lot of gamer friends. I do have that are part-time gamers, but the games that they tend to enjoy are the ones that are very easy to catch on to, and they aren't, you don't have to be a rules lawyer. You can just start playing with just a little bit of things, a couple of figures, or you know something something that anybody can just pick up and go with it. And that's the ones that I tend to lean to because we all enjoy it.
No, definitely. Um, so it looks like we're coming up on just over 20 minutes. You got anything else you want to go over, or any final thoughts?
Well, yeah, if people, if if everybody kind of tends to at least follow me on my Facebook, also Atomico Press on Facebook. They could see the work. I'm constantly working on stuff. I'm also going to be posting on my website, and I'm going to continue. making more figures, more things, and then, you know, so this, I'm not gonna stop with these figures. I'm gonna continue different themes, different, and eventually, the people that do support me now, you never know if I become a, a mover and shaker in the future. You can always say, "Hey, I got one of the original Kickstarter figures that got them off the ground."
That's very true, and you never know when that's going to happen, guys. So this has been Will Salas with Jose Torres, aka El Atomico, uh, coming to you, talking to you about his Kickstarter 28 millimeter zombie and survivor miniatures. Check it out, guys. Back it if you can. Back it if you can. It's a good one. He's got a lot of good sculpts, and they're very unique. So, happy gaming, and may the dice always roll in your favor.
Thank you.